Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. Today I'm going to make some chocolate chip cookies. And to start out, we're going to need 1 cup of butter that's softened, and that equals 2 sticks. Now I'm using regular butter. I'm not going to go buy unsalted butter because it's just too expensive. I have 2 eggs. I have 3/4 cup each of light brown sugar and regular white granulated sugar. And if you don't have a 3/4 cup measure, you can take a 1/2 of a cup and a 1/4 of a cup, and that will make 3/4 cup. And then I have 2 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. But since I'm using salted butter, I didn't add a full teaspoon of salt. Just a 1/2 of a teaspoon of salt. Also, I'm going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then you're going to need 2 cups of chocolate chips. Now, I'm using more than 2 cups because I like my cookies real chocolatey. So if you don't want it that chocolatey, just add the 2 cups. If you don't even want to add the full 2 cups, just add what you and your family likes. But I have almost a cup of dark chocolate chips, and then a cup of the red and green chips, and then I have some miniature Hershey's candy bars that we had left over from Halloween that I just broke up in pieces. So you can leave that out, and you can also add some chopped nuts if you like. So to get started, I'm going to mix my baking soda and salt into my flour real good. And then we're going to cream the butters and the sugars. On the butter, if you just on the spur of the moment wanted to make some cookies or something and your butter's not soft and come to room temperature, I took mine out and I put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds on 40% power, and then after it stopped running, I just let it set in there for a couple of minutes, and then it got pretty soft. So I'm going to put to my 1 cup of butter, my 3/4 cup of light brown sugar, and 3/4 cup of regular sugar. And I'm going to cream those together along with 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to scrape down my bowl a little bit and add my eggs and beat them till they're mixed in real good. Alright, my eggs are mixed in real good. Now I'm going to gradually add in my flour mixture. Now I'm using all-purpose flour with the baking soda and salt. If all you have is self-rising flour, go ahead and use it, but leave out the baking soda and the salt. Now if you're using unsalted butter, then you want to add a little bit more salt. I know that's confusing. I'm going to gradually add that in so flour doesn't go everywhere. Okay, I'm going to scrape down my bowl. Make sure it all gets mixed in real good. Now either you can stir in your chips or blend them in. I'm going to blend them in for a little bit, for just a second. Give it a good stir, make sure the chips are mixed in real good. And my oven is preheated at 375 degrees. Okay, I'm going to clear up a little bit, then I'll be right back. Alright, I have my sheet pan lined with some parchment paper. If you don't have any parchment paper, just lightly, very lightly, you can put a little bit of butter or spray shortening on there. And I am using a small ice cream scoop. If you don't have one of these, you can just use 2 spoons. Do rounded teaspoons or rounded tablespoons. It's according on how big you want your cookie. these will spread a little bit. So I'm spacing them about 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart. And as soon as I get them filled up, I'll be right back. Alright, I have my sheet pan full, so I'm going to put these in my preheated 375 degree oven for around 8 to 12 minutes, just until they're lightly browned, and then I'll be back. I just wanted to show you with the rest of my dough. I went ahead and put it on another cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, or on this part you can even line it with wax paper, and I'm going to stick them in the freezer. And because I didn't want to cook the whole batch today, now you got the holidays coming up, you can set and pop these in the freezer. Then if you have guests come over, or if you get a hankering for a cookie, at least they're in the freezer. You can take them out of the freezer, put them on your sheet pan, and bake them at 375. So, like I said, I've got my sheet pan lined with either parchment or wax paper, and I put them close together. I'm going to flash freeze them for an hour or two in my freezer, and then I'll take them out when I can handle them and put them in a large zip top freezer bag, and I'll write on the bag what they are, and then you've got chocolate chip cookies. But I'll show you that process when these get frozen. So I'm going to put these in the freezer for an hour to 2 hours. I just took my cookies out of the oven, and I'm going to let them cool in the pan for a few minutes before I put them on a wire rack to cool. So when they get cool, I'll bring you back and show you what they look like. My cookies have cooled down a little bit, so I'm going to go for this one. It looks like it's got the most big chocolate chips in it. Look, doesn't that look yummy? Oh my goodness, these taste so good. So I'll be back to show you what the other cookies are going to look like when they're frozen, how to store them. Now these, just let these cool. You can put them in an airtight container and just leave them out. They're not going to last that long because people's going to eat them up. I left my cookie dough in the freezer for about an hour and a half. And I have me a large zip top bag that I labeled it, put what to cook them on, and the month and the year. So I'm just going to take them and put them in the bag. They're still a little bit sticky, but they will be fine. I just separate them some in the bag too. And you could also layer them in between some wax paper. So now if company comes over, or we get to wanting some cookies, we'll have some on hand. So I hope you enjoy. Bye y'all. One more thing, if you get to want some of these cookies, while you're preheating your oven, go ahead and set some out on a lined sheet pan, and by the time your oven preheats, they should be almost defrosted and thawed and ready to cook. So I hope you enjoy. Bye for now.